If a stranger in a coffee shop asked you, "When has God shown up in your life?" you might find the question a little odd. But if you paused, chances are you'd have a story to tell. At St. Mark's, we believe God is at work everywhere, and everyone has a God encounter story. Inspired by StoryCorps, this Lent we're introducing GodCorps, an opportunity to record a short interview and share an experience of God at work in your life. We'd love to hear your story.
Good morning, Pat. This is Mary and Pat and Mary, and Pat's going to tell a story of a time when God spoke to her.
Okay, yes. Well, the story has a bit of a background. My husband and I and our two children were missionaries in Venezuela, and in those days, every 4 years, you would come home, in other words, to the States, and spend a year in the States, just visiting family, going to the churches that support you, visiting individual families or people who were also supporters, maybe taking some classes. It was a year to reacclimate to your home culture. And this particular year, now our children were, I think our son was probably either preschool or early school. I think he was preschool, and our daughter was maybe somewhere in the middle, maybe 3rd, 4th grade, I'm not sure. But anyway, we had gone back to the States, and that last year in school before we went home was difficult. We had my husband was the director of this school for missionary kids, and we had about 125 students in the school. And we had some difficulties with some of the older students. Some had done some things they shouldn't be doing, and then we had lost one of our students in an accident. He had died. So it was a hard year. So we spent that year back in the States, and we were getting ready to go back, and we were to fly out in August because school started in September. And we had our tickets all set and everything. And then, if I'm remembering correctly, I had a health issue that needed some attention. And so we had to cancel those tickets, and I went through the medical issue, got it all straightened out, and then we tried to get the same tickets to go back. Well, we couldn't. And so we had to take whatever they could give us in order to get back in August. And it was already August, so we were really, against odds there. And so we ended up with our flight from Chicago to Miami was sometime in the afternoon. I think we arrived in Miami maybe about 5 o'clock or something. We had probably, I'm guessing, maybe 10 suitcases. That was the day when you could just bring all kinds of luggage.
Oh,
and so we had brought things back that we missed in the States, food that we liked, or extra clothing and all that kind of stuff. And but then our flight from Miami to Caracas, Venezuela, was sometime after midnight. Oof. And so here we are in the Miami airport for maybe about 6-8 hours, trying to keep the kids happy, trying to stay awake. We finally boarded the plane, and I never sleep on a flight. My husband did, the kids did, but we arrived in Caracas. Now, if we had taken our original flights, we would have gone to Maracaibo, which was much closer to where we lived, where our school was. Okay. But we couldn't get a flight to Maracaibo. So we're in Caracas, and we'd never flown in that city before, to that airport. And we didn't realize, but we had to change airports. And so we found out that the other airport for local travel was not that far away, but it was too far for us to drag all those suitcases and walk the kids. So we had to get a taxi. We got a taxi, loaded up the suitcases, and went to the other airport. By then, the sun's up, and we're just exhausted. The kids are unhappy. And we go to the check-in desk, and lo and behold, there were probably 30, 40, 45 people, all not in a nice little line where you each take your turn, but all just surrounding the check-in desk.
Oh, my.
And we're at the back of the crowd with two kids that are angry and they want to go to sleep. And I just remember standing there, and our flight was going to be pretty soon. If we didn't get checked in, we would miss our flight.
Right.
And I remember standing there and talking to Bob, and I said, "Why did we come back? This is crazy. We should have stayed in the States. We shouldn't be doing this. We're going to miss our flight." And I was just grumbling. I was so angry. And there was a man standing in front of us, and he turned around. Now, let me just, everybody in this area was Venezuelan or Hispanic. I mean, there were no other people like us there. And he was Hispanic looking.
Okay.
He turned around and he said in perfect English, "Let me help you."
Oh, my.
And we said, "What?" And he said, "I'll help you." He said, "Give me your tickets." Now, in this day and age, would you give anybody you don't know your tickets?
Probably not.
But we did. We said, "What are you going to do?" He said, "I'll take care of this." And he started to walk toward the desk, and people just parted and let him through.
Oh, my.
He just went up and up and up. I mean, there were probably 10 layers of people to that desk, and they were all over the room there. And he walked right up to the desk, and he talked to the guy, and the guy handed him something, and then he turned around and he said, "Send your bags up." And so we started moving our bags to the front, and they checked in our bags. And then this guy comes back to us, and he gives us our tickets, and he said, "I hope you have a good flight."
Oh.
And we said, thank you so much. And he pointed to where our exit would be, to get on the where we would board the plane, and he walked over that way, and we thought, oh, well, maybe he's on our flight. Mm-hmm. But how did he do that? How did he just walk through all these people and go straight to the desk and get us checked in? So we grabbed the kids' hands and we said, let's go. And we went over there. He was nowhere to be found. Nowhere. And we had a little bit of time, so we walked up and down the corridor to see if maybe he was at another plane. But no, he was nowhere to be found. And we boarded the plane a little bit later, and I pondered that for days.
Right.
And I thought, there's no answer for that except that was an angel.
Right. Oh.
God made that happen. And we have no other way to explain it. And I just... Every now and then I'll think about that when I get into a difficult situation, and I think, okay. And nowadays, God is speaking to people all over the world, and he's speaking to them through dreams and visions and angels. And I really think he spoke to me.
So as you remember it today, tell me briefly, you get tears in your eyes as you're remembering it. What specifically has God still doing in your life as he brings these memories over and over?
Well, it's interesting because there's a friend of mine who's going through a very difficult time right now, and I'm actually praying that God will show up to her in a way that she has no other explanation for it. Right. I believe that she has been a believer, but she's very unhappy right now and not really wanting to trust God. And so my prayer has been that God would in some way just make himself known to her so that she can't explain it any other way. But
that's a beautiful, beautiful story, and it's a continuing story.
It is.
Yes. Thank you for sharing.
My pleasure.
Thank you for listening to this episode of St. Mark's Episcopal Church, GodCore. If you would like to record one of these episodes and tell your story about how you've experienced God, please use the link in the notes to schedule your time. We look forward to hearing your story, and we hope that you continue to tune in to hear ours. Thank you, and God bless you.